hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Hey, good morning, everyone. Jo here with SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. We have a loaded slate out there on the ice today, and I hope you guys played the Washington Capitals. It sounded like an easy win yesterday versus the Carolina Hurricanes that are just playing so inconsistent on the road right now. So that was a great game. I hope you guys checked it out. We also had a lot of success there with the Montreal Canadiens, who will be facing the Detroit Red Wings again today. We were able to get them with that plus money to pull off the upset. We took the over 1.5 versus Toronto versus the Sabres in the first period, and both teams to score, but the Sabres didn't give us enough in that first period for us to be able to cash. So a couple other cashes across the board. Was impressed with St. Louis holding it tight with Florida. Disappointed they were not able to get the win. And who would have thought the Rangers would roll into Dallas and get the win over the Stars? Just not something I saw. But we've got a loaded slate. Let's jump right into it. We're going to kick it off with the LA Kings today. They will be kicking off. The puck is dropping at 1:30 Eastern here between the LA Kings and the Nashville Predators. Now, current odds on this is a straight pick 'em over on FanDuel. And that should give you some concern here because we know on paper who the stronger team is here with the LA Kings. This total sitting at 5.5, minus 110. Again, a pick 'em to either side of that total. Looking at this matchup, I want to get in and out of this game. The Nashville Predators have the ability to score in that first period, get up in that first period, but the LA Kings, they're such a stronger team here. David Rittich expected in a net for them, and Saros expected here for the Nashville Predators. Now, when we look at the LA Kings, they're off the win versus the Flyers on the road in their last game out on Thursday. They were able to get that 7-3 win. This is game 4 of 5 out there on the road, and my concern here with the LA Kings, and you're concerned because of the line, should be the look-ahead situation. They do have the Washington Capitals on deck tomorrow, who are sitting first in the Metro. And yes, this is not a divisional matchup in the Metro tomorrow because the Kings are sitting in the Pacific. They're sitting second in the Pacific, been strong on the road, 9-7-3. But I do think that look ahead to a top team when they're facing a Nashville Predators team that's sitting 6-7-4 at home on the season, 8th in the Central. I just think the Preds have the ability to come into this one strong. Maybe the Kings will overlook them to start and then get back in this game. So what I want to do is I want to look at the Predators in the first period. Straight up on that money line in the first period coming in at minus 112. They have won the last 7 first periods at home. So this has been a strong area for them to come out nice and strong when they first are in these games, and then they give them away. So happy a Saturday to you, Kev. Let's go. Let's get that money. And thank you, Larry. I appreciate the kind comments. So that is where I'm going. Okay, so the Kings should get this win. Look ahead situation. Also, this will be a live betting situation. If I'm hitting the Preds in the first period, if that doesn't happen, and then we see the Kings get up, 4-0 over this Predators team, even though the Kings have the ability to lock down with the Capitals on deck, I can see the Nashville Predators getting back into this game. So that would be the situation where if you're getting plus 2.5, plus 3.5 here on the Predators, that you come back in on them at that price. So I'm going to save a little bit of money today to come back in on the Predators if the Kings go up big, as I will look for the Preds to get that meaningless goal at the end of the game and then cover that puck line when it's plus 2.5. The Chicago Blackhawks then take on the Calgary Flames, and I'm excited for this one. 1, because I'm a Calgary fan. 2, because I'm a Dustin Wolf fan, huge believer in this kid, and he's expected in net tonight for the Calgary Flames. With Dustin Wolf in net, I do think Calgary can get a big win here. They're coming off a couple of tough losses, both of those losses coming in OT. They lost that first game on Tuesday to the Boston Bruins in OT in a higher scoring game, and then they had that lockdown style game versus the Ottawa Senators, but then again, losing in overtime. We saw Dustin Wolf versus the Bruins, and then we saw Dan Vladar versus the Sens. In this one here, Dustin Wolf is expected. Now, Calgary is too big of a favorite on the money line just to bet them straight up. They're minus 156 here on the money line. And we know the Chicago Blackhawks have been rolling hot. They've been able to get these wins. They've been able to push games to overtime as well. If you think Chicago is going to stay competitive in this one, you could look here at just Calgary in reg. But I don't think they're able to score those goals on a Dustin Wolf. I think what we've seen out of Chicago kind of ends here. This team has been getting those goals on the board as of late. And I think Calgary comes in and we see Dustin Wolf stand on his head, especially off that loss to the Boston Bruins, in which he allowed more goals than we really have been seeing out of Dustin Wolf at home. So I'm going to look at Calgary here on the puck line, laying 1.5 on the puck lines, coming in at plus 160. Now, this total sitting at 5.5, and I'm a little concerned with betting the under 5.5 because what is Calgary going to do to Peter Mrazek in this game? I think Calgary is the one who scores the goals in this. Peter Mrazek is returning from the flu, so it's a great opportunity for Calgary also to hit a goaltender that's not going to be at 100%. I don't care. You return from the flu, you're back in a competitive game like this, and it's a hard situation. So while the Blackhawks have won their last 3 and Calgary's lost their last 2, I'm going to look at Calgary here on the puck line for that great plus money. Now, you could also just look at Chicago's team total. If you don't think Calgary is going to cover that puck line, Chicago's team total coming in at 2.5, the under at minus 118. I do like that. We know this team, while they have been scoring the goals as of late, overall in the season, is not a high-powered octane offense. And I do think Calgary's defense can do enough to shut them down. So I'm going to go in Calgary. Where I'm going, you guys. So Calgary should be able to get things done. This is their last game here too before the Christmas break. So they want to kick off the holiday season with a win in front of their home crowd, and then they're going to celebrate because it's December 21st. They are off until they hit the road next weekend versus the Sharks and Vegas. So that is where Calgary is at. We also see Chicago coming in here. They're at the Wild still on Monday, and then they're back at home versus the Sabres on Friday after the break. Let's get this money today, Mo. It is definitely time to make some freaking money. So let's jump into the San Jose Sharks. Oh, the Sharks have their hands full today. The San Jose Sharks coming off 3 losses. They weren't able to keep it competitive versus the Colorado Avalanche in their last game out, losing at home 4-2. They were able to help us with that total. I believe we would have had a 6.5 in that one. I thought it was a 5.5 at the top of my head, but it would have been a 6.5. So they're facing an Edmonton Oilers team that is off a win versus the Boston Bruins. That was an overtime win, 3-2. Edmonton before that, they had that game versus the Florida Panthers. They played so hard, but not able to get the win. Edmonton tends to get up in these games and then fall apart. If the San Jose Sharks are going to get back into this game, I expect them to get back into this game late. So let's quickly look at odds before I give you what I'm liking. It's gross here on Edmonton, minus 450 on the Edmonton Oilers, but rightly so. You look at the San Jose Sharks when they've come into Edmonton, not a place they play strong. Plus 340 here for the Sharks, total of 6.5. That is where I'm going to go with this one. The over 6.5 at minus 115. If the Sharks can get a couple goals, even if it's late for us in this one, we should be able to go over that total of 6.5 because Edmonton is so strong. When these teams match up, they do trend to that over as well. The last 26 meetings, we've seen 19 go over, 1 push, and 6 stay under that total. In the last 16 in Edmonton, the over is also 11, 2, and 3. So strong trends to the over in Edmonton. We've also seen the Sharks roll into Edmonton, losing their last 5. Could they break this trend? I just don't trust Georgiev enough in goal tonight for the San Jose Sharks. If Mackenzie Blackwood was back here, I'd say, hell yeah, absolutely. The Sharks could have the possibility of breaking their losing streak trend in Edmonton. I don't trust Georgiev enough to be able to say that. I do think Edmonton gets up fast in that first period. This is something that this team can do. The first period puck line is where I want to look for the Edmonton Oilers. It's where I'm able to find the most value, you guys, because Edmonton is so overly priced in this one that I'm just itching to take the Sharks straight up on the money line with that plus money. I just can't see a path for them to get the win, and I'll be kicking myself. I absolutely will if the Sharks do win tonight. But you guys, that is way too risky to take the Sharks, especially here versus the Edmonton Oilers. It is their first night of a back-to-back, though, for the Oilers, so something to look at. They have the Sens on deck tomorrow, and then they won't be back in action until next Saturday when they're at the LA Kings. So the Oilers should be able to get things done here versus the Sharks. Like I said, the Sharks have been losing. They do play tight versus the Pacific, covering the puck line in their last 5. So let's just get in and out on Edmonton. Let's take the over 6.5, and then the Edmonton Oilers on the puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal at -116. Again, the best value you're going to get. Ooh, yeah. With Pickard in there, we're going to see those goals. We really will see those goals. He absolutely struggles out there. So without Skinner in goal, could the Sharks win? I just still don't see the Sharks winning it. So I think you look here at the first period, maybe both teams to score in the first period as well with Connor Pickard out. Actually, let's look at the value on both teams to score in the first period. I do think, though, no matter what, it's a 2-1 style first period for the Edmonton Oilers. When we look at Pickard here, and then the both teams to score in the first period, yeah, the books are expecting it to. It's only +164. And yes, +164. Both teams to score in a lot of these games coming in at like the +180 mark. So I think it's a great way to look at both teams to score. Good call on Pickard coming into net tonight. Let's look at the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Philadelphia Flyers, you guys. Current odds on FanDuel this morning are magical number, if we can find this game. Okay, Columbus rolling in as the dog at +118 here on the road versus the Philadelphia Flyers. We got -142 for the Flyers in this one. This total 6.5. Now the juice to the total is on the under. The under coming in at -122, the over at +100. I could see this one sneaking over the total here. Elvis versus Urgent. I look at the Columbus Blue Jackets and what they've been able to do as of late. They got a big win over the New Jersey Devils in their last game out. They were able to win that 4-2. Now, this team has struggled out there on the road, 4-11-2 on the road this season, and it's a battle of the Metro. The Flyers sitting 6th in the Metro, 7th here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we've already seen the Flyers win this season. It was on December 5th. They won it in a high-scoring 5-3 style game. I think we have another higher scoring game, one in which we're getting the value on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now that value is moving, +118. It was +128. 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, you guys, when I first looked at this line this morning. So we are starting to see the money come in on the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I do think it's a solid way to go. This team got the win over the Devils, and we look at the Philadelphia Flyers. They've lost their last 3. This team's struggling right now. Thursday, they had that home loss versus the LA Kings, 7-3. They're at the Pittsburgh Penguins on Monday, and then they're off till they're at the Ducks on Saturday. We will see Columbus home versus Montreal on Monday. Then they're off, and they're home and road versus the Boston Bruins Friday and Saturday of next week. And yes, the Flyers, while they have been better than we've seen Columbus on the road, their home record isn't great. It's only 7-9-1. They failed to cover the puck line as well at home. They haven't been able to come out nice and strong. And that money line at -142, I'm not willing to hit on a team that has lost their last 3. So when we look at the last 10 games and really how they've unpacked for these two teams, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they've only had 2 wins in their last 10. 6 losses and 2 overtime losses. So that's how they're breaking down. They're averaging the 2.4 goals per game, 27.1 shots on net. Their power play efficiencies 16.7%. So that power play has been clicking better than we've seen the Flyers. The Flyers power play in their last 10 is only clicking at 10.3%. Really hard to bank on this team to have the advantage. Now, they do have 4 wins in their last 10, 5 losses and 1 overtime loss. So that's kind of how these teams are breaking down. We have seen more goals out of the Flyers, but I think the value is on Columbus in this one. Let's look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins are taking on, let's just find this game here. How is everyone's Saturday starting, by the way? We've got great games. NFL, college football is going to be a great day. Remember, I'm on the grid today, 4:30 Eastern today till 8 p.m. So make sure you come over and join myself and Scott Wetzel. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. So the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the New Jersey Devils. The Penguins are a $2 underdog almost, +198 here on the Penguins facing the New Jersey Devils, who are -245. Total of 6.5, -120 to the under. I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins to come in and cover that puck line. Now you're starting to lose value on that puck line. It was -1.5 at minus 128. It's only gone up by 2. It's minus 130 right now. So the juice is starting to tick up. I think this is a tight battle. We have seen the Pittsburgh Penguins play really tight games, especially in New Jersey. They've been able to come out strong in New Jersey versus the New Jersey Devils. The problem is they've gone 1-7 in the last 8 meetings. So I think they're going to keep it tight. Do I want to lay the money line? I really don't. Normally when I like a puck line, I also like the money line. New Jersey's just so strong at home. I think they win this in a 1-goal game. They're sitting second in the Metro. 9, 6, and 3 at home. They actually have been stronger on the road. That road record is 12-5. When we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, their road record is 6, 7, and 3. So we know this team has had issues in goal. Tristan Jarry expected today. The Pittsburgh Penguins, though, are rolling a hot hand on their top line. That top line has been really clicking out there. They've won their last 2 games. Now, they were able to get the OT win on Thursday versus the Preds. You guys know I was on the wrong side of that game. I was just shaking my head as soon as it went to overtime. And we see the Devils here off the loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, with them off the loss on the road to Columbus, that's why I really do think they still get the win here at home in this game. Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins minus or plus 1.5 on that puck line at minus 130, guys. I still think there's value. There's so much. This is an Eastern Conference battle, right? So these two teams battling in the Metro, in the Eastern Conference, and I think playoff implications are huge. The Penguins will give it everything. And I mean, absolutely everything they've got. If they win this tonight, could we see the letdown versus the Flyers at home on Monday? We could, right? And then we have the Devils here versus the Rangers on Monday. I still can't believe the Rangers beat the Stars last night. Shaking my head. So, Lamont, welcome to the show. Good morning to you as well. Let's look at the Minnesota Vikings versus the Winnipeg Jets. Now, the Minnesota Wild. Apologies, you guys. Already thinking football for the day. They don't even play today, Joe. Come on. The Minnesota Wild are plus 146 here on the money line versus the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets at minus 178. Total sitting at 5.5. The under 5.5. I know it's terrifying in this matchup, but it's coming in at plus 102. And I do think the under is the way to go. I'm looking at this game, except I would rather kind of isolate here the Wild's team total. So I'm looking for the Wild to really struggle to score on Connor Hellebuyck. We know how strong Connor Hellebuyck has been. We got depth of scoring over here for the Winnipeg Jets, so which is kind of concerning. And this defense is strong, one that can lock down. The Minnesota Wild, so strong defensively as well. We're not going to see Gustafsson in goal. If Gustafsson was in goal tonight for the Minnesota Wild, this would be an old game, ulting it under the 3.5 even. I expect very low scoring in this one. I'm going to look at the Wild's team total. It's coming in under 2.5 because I think they'll struggle to score on Connor Hellebuyck. My problem and my concern here is for the goaltending that we see in for the Wild. Jasper Wallstedt expected here. He's 0-1 with a 3.10 goals against average. And we have such depth of scoring over here for the Winnipeg Jets that I do think we see some of these lower lines really step up. Now, I'm looking for Cole Perfetti to be able to record a point in this game. I like the value we're getting on him. We're getting plus money for him to be able to do so. But it will be a lower scoring game unless it's just the Jets, scoring the goals. And we could see a 4-1 win here for the Jets. We could see a 5-1 win here for the Jets. We just don't know what we're going to get out of Jasper Wallstedt. So I'm going to isolate the Wild and look at their team total under 2.5. I know that's terrifying with how these playmakers have been playing for this team. Kaprizov so strong. Matt Boldy so strong. They have the offensive talent, but I'm counting on Connor Hellebuyck to be able to limit them and the defense here of the Winnipeg Jets to really lock down. So especially with the Jets off the loss to the Ducks, that was a 3-2 loss on Wednesday. We've seen the Wild lose their last 3, though. I'm like, what the hell is happening out here? For the Minnesota Wild, lost their last 3. This is the second night of a back-to-back. Utah, they lost last night 2-1. They shouldn't have lost to Utah. They've been so strong in those bounce-back situations, and this team on the road has been flying on the road, 12-2-3, but I just can't find a reason why Jake Ottinger would give up more goals. Now, could Jasper Wallstedt come in and be the freaking man here for the Minnesota Wild and the Wild win this 2-1? absolutely, we could see a 2-1 win here for the Wild, especially with this team now off 3 losses, with how strong they have been at bouncing back. But I do think no matter what happens, the Wild stay under 2.5 goals, because I have to take out the unknown here for Jasper Wallstedt, especially against an offense that clicks so strong as in the Jets. So I'm going to look just there, the under strong trends between these two, 4, 1, and 2 in the last 7 meetings. Yes, we will give the 5 favorite players, Mo, at the end of the show. Absolutely. Let's go, Irish Kings. We're going to hit some plays today. A lot of player props. Yeah, I give out a lot of player props. I love looking at these players and what they could do out there on the ice. Let's look at the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Boston Bruins. Man, the Buffalo Sabres have lost 12, you guys. 12 in a row. Last season, no, the season before, a couple seasons ago, the Buffalo Sabres went on this terrible streak as well. I think they broke it at 13. You guys want to fact check that for me, if they broke it at 13 or if it was 14, if they lost the 13th and broke it at 14. I'm looking here, and when I first looked at Buffalo Sabres and their matchups, I went, they're not winning before the Christmas break. I've changed my mind, you guys. They're facing the Boston Bruins, who are home off an insanely long road trip. 5 games out there on the road. And the Sabres get it done. The problem here is I'm not getting as much value as I want. I do think the Sabres have the possibility of catching the Boston Bruins in a situation where they get home from a road trip. They have played strong on this road trip, and now they're facing a team that has lost 12 games. 13? Does the 13 break this losing streak for the Buffalo Sabres? Well, if you believe so, if you're crazy, if you're pucking crazy like I am, it's plus 140 here for the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to put a little bit on it, you guys. Not a lot on it. I think if anything, you have to look at a team total here. So we have a total of 6.5. It's plus 108 to the over. My problem is Swayman hasn't looked as strong as I'd like to see him out this season. We look at the Buffalo Sabres, and in a lot of these games, they have been putting up those goals. They were able to get 3 goals on the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. Now, I do think they're going to concede those goals. Lankinen is confirmed in net for them tonight, and Lankinen has been a goaltender that I had a lot of faith in going into this season. I thought he was underrated, and he's had his struggles this season. I think Boston will score on him, but I'm also thinking they're going to score here on Swayman. So I look at this one to go over that total. I'm going to take the Buffalo Sabres team total over 2.5. Like I said, they were able to put 3 goals up last night in that game. Over 2.5 goals coming in at minus 122. Definitely the safer way to go, because we look at the Sabres rolling into Boston. This has not been a strong place for them to play. They've only won 2 of the last 12 meetings in Boston. So Boston definitely has the upper hand. I just look at this extended road trip that they were on, 5 games out there on the road. They lost that last game to the Edmonton Oilers 3-2 in overtime. So they had an overtime game on Thursday as well. And they have the Washington Capitals on deck on Monday, who are sitting first in the Metro. Yes, they're sitting 4th in the Atlantic, but that is a huge look ahead when they're looking at a team that's absolutely struggling with the Buffalo Sabres, and maybe they don't give them the respect that the Sabres kind of deserve out there, you guys. So I will sprinkle that. Values coming down, though. When we looked at it earlier, it was plus 152 here for the Buffalo Sabres this morning. So at plus 140, we're starting to lose the best of the number, but I'm still willing to hit on it. So if you don't have that bet in yet, I would look at looking at it and the over 2.5. Okay, the New York Islanders. You guys, I'm taking some ugly dogs today. I'm going to warn you, there's some ugly dogs I'm liking, and man, it better pay for me today, because I'm going to take the Islanders at plus 140 here versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. We look at the Isles. They have the rest advantage, and I think they can get the win today. Anthony Dunclair is back out on the ice. They took him off the IR. He's going to be out there. He's one of their best players. He's coming in to face the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think Dunclair will be the difference maker here for the Isles, and that rest advantage is huge. They haven't played since Tuesday. We saw Toronto in Buffalo last night get that big win. They had to travel back home for this game. They've won their last 3 games, And Toronto lets these games go that they should win, especially versus an Isles team who's lost their last two. They got shut out on Tuesday on the road versus the Carolina Hurricanes. And I love looking at teams that got shut out in their last game to come out so solid and hard. And again, look at how much time they've had to prepare to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Isles get it done. It's gross for sure. I'm going to look at Anthony Dunclair for the anytime goal getting back out here on the ice. I think he comes out with absolute fire tonight. He's coming in at plus 390. Joseph Woll expected here for Toronto, and I think he can hit Woll in this one. Now, Sorokin expected between the pipes here for the Isles, but I am going to look at John Tavares. Now, if you didn't know, John Tavares played, it feels like 500 years ago for the Isles. I love looking at players who are facing their former team. You know, you can take Tyler Toffoli versus anyone. He's played on so many, joking. But if Tavares played for a long span for the Isles of 2013 to 2018, and he's been with the Toronto Maple Leafs ever since. So I'm going to look at Tavares here. He's been playing hot as well as of late. He's plus 185 for the anytime goal. And then again, for the Isles, it is Anthony Duclair plus 390. I think this game goes over the 5.5. And that's probably the best bet in this game. If you don't want to look at the Isles, just look at the over 5.5. We know how strong the Toronto Maple Leafs offense is. It's a dangerous offense out here. And the Isles getting back Anthony Dunclair, I think they're going to be able to light the lamp tonight. So that is where I'd go, the over 5.5. You got to think tired legs here of the Leafs as the game goes on as well. The Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, we saw this matchup yesterday with Montreal getting the road win and getting the upset win. I am really concerned with Montreal being able to get the win tonight because I don't trust Caden Primieux coming into net. They're coming in at plus 100, minus 120 here for the Detroit Red Wings starting Alex Leon. Total of 6.5, minus 122 to the under, plus 100 to the over. Alex Leon versus Montreal has gone 4-1 in his career. So he's been able to stand tall. He has given up those goals. So the goals against average isn't elite. Primieux just isn't solid. And that's the problem with Montreal. They just have been having to play Sam Montague. So not sure what's happening with Primieux here. They really should send him back down, but they're not. I'm not sure why, but they have no one else to bring up instead. I'm going to look at a couple of things with tired legs here. Montreal, I trust this offense, and I trust the Red Wings as well. I expect the goals to come. I think the Red Wings, as long as Primieux plays like we expect. Now, the crazy thing is, looking at a goaltender like this, he knows he's playing for his life, right? Like, he is playing for his hockey career. So he needs to stand on his freaking head. But can he? I don't trust him enough to be able to. And we say like he should and he needs to, but I don't think he can. So the Red Wings team totals 3.5. We're getting great plus money to the over 3.5 on that. Instead of laying the money line on the Red Wings, if they win this, I think it is a 4-3 win here for the Red Wings. So I'll put a little bit of money on the Red Wings over 3.5 at plus 134 for their team total. I do think this is still a tight, close battle between these two teams. I'm looking at the first period to go over 1.5 goals. It's juicy though at minus 130, but I do think both teams have the ability to score in the first period. Like I said, like while Alex Leon has won 4 of the last 5 meetings versus Montreal, we've also seen him allow those goals to come in. Like it's just been higher scoring back and forth battles between these two teams. So both teams to score in the first period, that's coming in at plus 162, the over 1.5 at minus 130. And again, second night of a back-to-back here. Montreal has been stronger at home than we have seen the Red Wings out there on the road. And again, Battle of the Atlantic. Montreal would love nothing more than to be able to get 2 wins. They will need to put up 5 goals, I think, to be able to get this win tonight. So if you think Montreal can get it, I love a home dog here. I'm not going to take a side. I do think it could be a 5-4 win here for Montreal. So that is where I'd go, looking at the first period over, both teams to score in the first, the over for the game, and the Red Wings team total, because that's whose team I trust the most against the goaltending matchup. Let's look at the Ottawa Senators taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, lines on this one, you guys. The Vancouver Canucks are minus 130. We have the Ottawa Senators at plus 108. Total sitting at 5.5. I understand the 5.5 because of the goaltending matchup. Allmark has been so freaking hot here for the Ottawa Senators. You look at him in his since December kicked off. We're December 21st now. 7-0-1. a goals against average of 1.23, and a save percentage, it's phenomenally strong, 959. He is just on complete fire here. Taking on a Vancouver team that struggles at home, to say it politely. Vancouver seems not to be able to buy a win at home. Demko in goal for them tonight. Now, Demko has good, really solid numbers versus the Ottawa Senators. So I do think this one stays under that total. I'm looking for a lower scoring back and forth defensive goaltending battle between these two teams. Now, when we look at Allmark in his career versus Vancouver, he's still got a 911 save percentage, a 2.53 goals against average, though. This Ottawa team, it's Allmark that's been getting them the wins. I really do think Allmark has just been so strong. They've won their last 5. They got the overtime win versus the Calgary Flames 3-2. And we see Vancouver rolling in here off of 2 losses. The Vancouver Canucks have allowed the Dog to win the last 4 games in their arena. So they've got to win once. They were the Dog the one time in that situations. But I think the Sens, you just look at them to hit Demko in this. I think the Senators put up 3 goals. I think they can get this win as well. The Senators at plus 108, I'm willing to take a shot on. I think this is a 3-1, 3-2 style game win here for the Ottawa Senators. You can take the Senators team total over 2.5. That's coming in at minus 128. Now, these teams matched up on the 23rd of November. We did see the 4-3 win. We saw a higher scoring win for the Vancouver Canucks. I think with Allmark, with how he's playing, he continues to roll hot. Now, we're seeing the Senators out on this insanely long road trip, you guys. So I don't think Vancouver has what it takes here at home. 6-7-4 at home this season. Jake DeBrusk, though, interesting to look at Jake DeBrusk over his career. We know he was with the Boston Bruins. He's always hit the Ottawa Senators strong, especially when he was with Boston. So if you want to look at Jake DeBrusk to come out strong for the Vancouver Canucks, that is a player that I would trusted. Brady Tkachuk here, Batherson. There's so many playmakers out there for the Ottawa Senators that I think can step up, but I do think it's a lower scoring game, especially for Vancouver. So hard to take a lot of player props. And you guys, last but not least, let's talk the Seattle Kraken versus the Vegas Golden Knights. The Seattle Kraken rolling in, starting Joey Dacordon, Adin Hill expected here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Vegas is almost a $2 favorite. You guys know that's disgusting. Plus 155 here for the Seattle Kraken, but I understand why Vegas is such a favorite. This team is strong at home in the Fortress. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is where I'll go with the Vegas Golden Knights. That's coming in at plus 138. We've got a total of 5.5, minus 122 to the over. And I do think Vegas wins this in a 4-2 style game. The empty netter probably comes into effect. We know Seattle, they're going through the motions right now. They've lost their last 3. They got destroyed by the Chicago Blackhawks in that last game, 3-1 in a game they should have really played stronger. They're at the Avs tomorrow. So the first night of a back-to-back here for the Kraken. And then they're in Vancouver after the break. When we look here at Vegas, they've won their last 2. Thursday at home, they got the big win versus Vancouver. In a game, I thought Vancouver would have been able to stay competitive even in the Fortress. It was a 3-1 win. They faced the Ducks on Monday, the Sharks then on Friday on the road, and then home Sunday versus the Flames. So looking at their look-ahead schedule, they're going to be ready to enjoy this Christmas break. Could we see them have that letdown spot versus the Sharks when they come out of the break with Calgary then on deck at home for a one-off road game? We could, because we know Vegas has those struggles out there on the road in a lot of these cases. They've lost some easy ones out there. So I definitely think if you're looking ahead already to that Friday matchup, I kind of would circle the Ducks here to come out strong. But in this matchup here, I think Vegas comes out, gets a win, covers the puck line. Now, if Vegas doesn't win today, there's no way in hell I'm going to take the Ducks in that next game. So it is correlated there. I think if Vegas gets a big win, and I could see them even, I could see a storyline where it's the empty netter pushing them on the puck line, but I could also see the one where Adin Hill stands on his head. The defense comes out strong. Mark Stone and Jack Eichel go off. I'm going to take Mark Stone actually to score tonight. He's coming in at plus 210 for that anytime goal, but I could see the path where Vegas wins this 4-1. It covers the old puck line laying 2.5. And I do think I'll get to the window of sprinkling on the old at 2.5 here for Vegas, because I just think they're such a better team. They're rolling a hot streak right now. The Kraken are rolling a cold one, and the Kraken did win in November, 4-3. But when we look at the Kraken, when they've gone into Vegas and when they face Vegas, they're only 3-10 in their last 13 meetings, and they're also 1-5 in their last 6 in Vegas. So they have had these struggles versus this team. Vegas will remember the fact that the Kraken did beat them back in early November. So 4-3 win in overtime, even more salt to the wound there for the Vegas Golden Knights. So give me them to win big in this game. The problem with really altering that puck line, though, is we have seen these teams trend to that under. 4-0 in the last 4 meetings to the under in Vegas between these two, and 6-2 in the last 8 meetings overall to that under. Could we see a 4-1 win and still stay under? Yeah, we could. So that's what I'm expecting, 4-1 win in this matchup. Okay, guys, we've gone over every single game. It is just after, we're at 12:35. Okay, we're going to do the recap, and then we'll do the player props, and then I'll send you on your day. If you haven't headed over to the SportsGrid app to get my Madden Quickie, I got 3 bets in under a minute over there talking today's NFL slate as well as the SMU Penn State game. So make sure you head on over, get the Madden Quickie over there. We're in for a big day out there on the football field, you guys. Again, I will be on the grid today, 4:30 Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern with Scott Wetzel. So we're going to be having a lot of fun over there. So jump on that. Let me have a sip of coffee and we'll do the recap. And then we will do the player props as well, the round robin. So let's jump into this recap, you guys. It's going to be a great day out there on the ice. The LA Kings taking on the Nashville Predators. I want to get in and out of this game nice and fast. Give me the Predators first period money line at -112. They won the last 7 first periods at home. I do think the LA Kings could be overlooking them at least to start this game with the Capitals on deck tomorrow. When we look here at the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Calgary Flames, I think Chicago absolutely struggles to score on Dustin Wolf. I'm going to lay the puck line here with the Calgary Flames for a big win. They're off a couple of overtime losses that really hurt, and I do think they take it out here on Chicago. Dustin Wolf stands nice and tall. The Chicago Blackhawks team total under 2.5, another really solid way to look. The San Jose Sharks versus the Edmonton Oilers. I just can't see a path, even with Pickard in net tonight, for the Sharks to get this win. I would look at the first period, both teams to score, though. We talked about that. We're getting great plus money on the both teams to score, but not as much as the books normally give us. So the book's kind of thinking Pickard will give up that goal as well. I'd look at the Oilers still in the first period on the puck line at -116. This team likes to get off to those fast starts. I think it's a 2-1 first period here for Edmonton, and I do think this one goes over the 6.5 goals. The Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. We got a great price on the underdog, but we're starting to lose a value on Columbus here. Hit it before you lose more value if you like Columbus as well. I'm going to take them, and I think this one goes over that total. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils. I do think the Penguins will be able to keep it tight here. There's so much on the line with playoff implications between these Eastern Conference Metro opponents. I'm going to look, although I think the Devils win it, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins cover that puck line, +1.5 at -125. The Minnesota Wild versus the Winnipeg Jets. Give me the Jets to continue to roll hot in the way that Connor Hellebuck is going to stand on his head. Look for the Minnesota Wild's team total to stay under 2.5 at -112. Like I said, we could still see the Wild have that huge bounce back that we've been waiting for. This team normally bounces back. They've now lost 3 in a row. The Winnipeg Jets have been rolling strong, except they did lose to the Ducks in their last matchup. We know this team's fantastic at home. Look for a very low scoring game as long as Jasper Wallstedt can do what we hope he would do out there between the pipes for the Wild for them to be able to get the win. That's the problem. We don't know what Wallstedt's going to do. So I'm isolating the Wild's team total under 2.5 in this game at -112. The Winnipeg Jets just have such a depth of scoring. Cole Perfetti would be who I would look at for those points. And if you think the Wild can get on the board, it is Kaprizov. I expect, a 2-1. If the Wild win, it's 2-1 game. If the Winnipeg Jets win, it's because they hit Wallstedt really strong and win this 3-4-2. So it'll be an interesting one here. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the Boston Bruins. I do think it's worth a sprinkle on the Buffalo Sabres to win here tonight versus the Boston Bruins, who have been out on an extended road trip, return home, and face the Capitals on Monday. I'm going to put a small sprinkle because I'm fucking crazy on the Buffalo Sabres at plus 140. Again, we're starting to lose value in that line. It was plus 152 earlier in the morning and not long before we kicked off. Probably the best way and the safest way to look at the Buffalo Sabres, because they have struggled in Boston versus Boston, is looking at their goals. They have been able to light the lamp. They put up 3 last night versus Toronto. Their team total over 2.5 is where I'd look at minus 122. Swayman, I just don't trust in a goal. And these teams have trended to the over in Boston as well. The Isles, again, ugly picks today, you guys. The Isles to pull off the upset. Anthony Duclair back in the lineup gives them a huge advantage, especially with their rest here. I think Anthony Duclair and the rest advantage is enough to put me on the Isles at plus 140 to get the win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, Anthony Duclair for the goal at plus 390 and John Tavares versus a team that he played with from 2013 to 2018 for the anytime goal at plus 200. I do think this one goes over the total of 5.5. Detroit versus Montreal. We saw that last night. We do have a goaltending advantage here for the Detroit Red Wings. They lost in a tight game last night, and I do think we have another tight game here. Premier's needs to stand up for his hockey career, and you're going to get the best out of him, but is his best enough in this game? I just don't think it is. If Montreal wins this, it's because they're able to put up 5 goals and give him that support. Alex Leon has been strong versus Montreal, but still giving up those goals. So I'd look at both teams to score in the first period. I'd look at the Red Wings team total over 3.5 because I think if they're to win this or lose this, they get 4 goals either way in this game. Both teams score first period plus 162, the over 1.5 first period at minus 130. The Ottawa Senators versus the Vancouver Canucks. Give me the Ottawa Senators plus 108 on the money line to get the win in Vancouver. Allmark is just so phenomenally hot right now. I cannot fade this goaltender. I'd look at his save shots on goal to the over. No matter what number they're giving you, I will be taking it to the over. I think the Senators probably can hit Demko, even though this is a lower scoring game. I expect 3-1, 3-2 win here for the Ottawa Senators. So if you want to hit the Ottawa Senators team total over 2.5, that's coming in at minus 128. I do think Jake DeBrusk, how he's played versus the Sens, and we look at him, how he's played versus the Sens when he was with the Boston Bruins, strong number. So if you want to look at anyone from Vancouver to get that point, that's where I'd look. And I'd also probably look at Quinn Hughes. I like what we've seen out of Quinn Hughes as of late. And I do think if Jake DeBrusk is getting on the board, there's an opportunity for Quinn Hughes to get on the board as well. And last but not least, the Seattle Kraken taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm circling Mark Stone. I'm circling Vegas in this one for a big win. Puck line win here for the Vegas Golden Knights. First period, laying 0.5 goal, coming in at plus 140. Puck line for the full game, laying 1.5 goals at plus 138. And then Mark Stone for the anytime goal at plus 200. Vegas is going to remember the fact that the Kraken beat them in overtime back in November 4-3. And you look at the Kraken coming into Vegas and they don't have strong numbers. So big win here for the Vegas Golden Knights at home for their home crowd on a 10 p.m. Eastern matchup. So that is what, 7 p.m. Their time. Joe, you're so welcome. Yeah, you could look at Vegas in regulation as well. Your Kraken need to get moving. I just don't see it happening in this one. Okay, so that is the recap, you guys. Let's build those player props. I know you guys all love to look at these players and where we're going to go with them. Let me just open up a couple of tabs here so we can build this one together. Okay, so for Vegas and Seattle, I am going to look at Mark Stone. That is where I'm going to go first with my round robin parlay. So you guys can do whatever you want with this. When I'm looking at these guys for the point, it's because I'm also looking at them for the goal tonight. So the goal here for Mark Stone is it's moved to plus 200. It was plus 210. Let's just look at the point here. It's going to be juicy for the point, so I wouldn't take the point straight up, you guys. Minus 260, but putting it into a parlay or a round robin parlay, whichever way you want to go, does make sense. Now, I'm going to stay off the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Philadelphia Flyers. I like Monty to be able to get things done, but I just want to stay off that game. I'm going to look here at the Buffalo Sabres versus the Boston Bruins. The points here for the Sabres, I will look at Tage Thompson. I think he comes out to play. With the Boston Bruins, because they're returning home from the road trip, I will stay off of that one. The Montreal Canadiens versus the Detroit Red Wings. I do think we got the goals coming in this one. I will look at Lucas Raymond here for the Detroit Red Wings to really step up and call Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens. So those will be the two playmakers in that one. The Winnipeg Jets. I do think Perfetti is worth a look. Tonight, Cole Perfetti. So for the anytime point, like I was talking about, he's plus 118. Inside of this, it's hard to deny Kyle Connor. I will look at Kyle Connor to come out strong inside of the round robin. Again, you're going to have to lay the juice at minus 265 and Kaprizov here for the wild bet. If we're parlaying this, let's do a long shot one in this matchup today. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils, you guys, and I will recap this at the end. I will look at Jack Hughes because we know Jack Hughes loves to step up in these games, and Sidney Crosby. I think both of them can get a point on the board tonight. With the Isles, you guys know I'm in love with Anthony Dunclair coming back here tonight. Let's see what his point is at. I'm actually really interested to see this number that we're getting out here on Dunclair. We're not getting Anthony Dunclair for a point tonight. If you can put it in on your book, I would definitely look there. I'll throw John Tavares in this one, but again, looking at Anthony Dunclair at plus 390 for the goal tonight is where I would go. For the Calgary Flames, oh, my Flames, who is going to get us the points tonight? I will throw in Mackenzie. No, let's throw in Connor Zary. I do think Connor Zary comes out nice and strong versus the Chicago Blackhawks. He seems to have something to prove. When we look at the Edmonton Oilers for those points tonight, yes, Connor McDavid is an easy go-to, but Connor McDavid is minus 900 for a point tonight. Leon Draisaitl minus 650 for a point tonight. I want to move further down the list. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, definitely someone you want to look at for Edmonton. He has been playing great out there. I will look at him for a point tonight. And I do think Tyler Toffoli can get that point tonight. He's coming in at plus 124 if you want to bet it outside of that. Okay. And then the LA Kings and the Nashville Predators. I'm going to stay off that game. So we have 12 legs in this parlay, you guys. Let me just make sure that all of these 12 legs are for this game. And I haven't gone into something else that was still left up on my book before I got that bet in. It looks like all 12 of these legs are, yeah, this would be a nice cash, you guys. If we $10 pays $2,285. So let's jump into it. Yeah, I'm seeing goals tonight for the Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens again. These are your 12 legs. Are you guys ready? This is the list. Okay. So Mark Stone for the point for Vegas. Tage Thompson for the point for Buffalo. Lucas Raymond for the point for the Red Wings. Cole Caulfield for the point for Montreal. Kyle Connor for the point for Winnipeg. Kaprizov for the point for Minnesota. That could be the scariest leg, you guys, even though Kaprizov is so solid. Jack Hughes for the point for the Devils. Sidney Crosby for the point for the Pittsburgh Penguins. John Tavares for the point for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Connor Zary for the point for the Calgary Flames. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for the point for the Edmonton Oilers. Tyler Toffoli for the point for the San Jose Sharks. $10 pays you back. It's 22 to 1. It's $10 pays you back $2,285.75 currently on FanDuel. Now, if you want to round robin those bets, let's just see. Round robin the 12. They are not. Why are they not letting me do that? Wants me to accept odds. Okay, there is our round robin. I just had to accept the movement of odds. So You don't want to do twos. So it's 2 by 62, 3 by 180, 4 by 321 is where you're starting to get value. The plus money is 5 by 360. So the 5 by 360, your max wager is 677. They're only giving me a max wager of 677 on this. A $10 wager is coming in at 4,171.06 for each leg we hit, because it's plus 115 on the 5 times 360. They're maxing me out at $6.77 on this round robin, you guys. Come on, FanDuel. Yeah, if I put, max bet. The books are definitely not liking us today. If you bet the max bet that they're allowing me to do on FanDuel, 677, you guys, the 5 by 360 wagers is coming in at $2,823.81. So that is where I am going with all of those bets. One more time to recap the players I'm looking at. And if I'm looking at these players, it's because I'm loving them for the goals today. Anthony Dunclair is probably my favorite goal scorer of the night coming in for the Isle. So keep that in mind. If you want to look at Edmonton, I saw someone pop up Edmonton. Yeah, McDavid, 2 points. Yeah, I would look at McDavid for 2 points. You just can't take him for 1. Jack Eichel for 2 points. Tagged Thompson, Raymond, all parlayed. Russell, I love where you're going with that. Russell Wilson in the chat. Look at that today. So that is where I would look at that as well. I think that's a fantastic way to go. So again, the 12 legs here. However you want to play them, these are the players I like for the points. So if you want to take a couple of these players out and just do, 3-4 leg parlay, the books love when you put in 12 legs, right? That is a reason why they give us so much value. It just kind of concerns me. They're looking to hedge. What if all 12 of these hit today, you guys? So they're only giving me $6.77 is a max bet they'll let me put on this round robin. That's iffy. So again, we got last recap, and then we're done. Mark Stone for the point for Vegas. Tags Thompson for the point for Buffalo. Lucas Raymond for the point for the Red Wings. Cole Caulfield for the point for Montreal. Kyle Connor for the point for the Winnipeg Jets. Kaprizov, again, probably the weakest link, because I think Connor Hellebuck will stand tall for the point for the Minnesota Wild. Jack Hughes for the point for the New Jersey Devils. Sidney Crosby for the point for the Pittsburgh Penguins. John Tavares for the point for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Connor Zary for the point for the Calgary Flames. Ryan Nugent Hopkins, such a mouthful, for the point for the Edmonton Oilers, and Tyler Toffoli for the San Jose Sharks. So those are the guys that I think will get the points on the board. Again, don't bet them separately, except for Tyler Toffoli has value at plus 124. Connor Zary has value at minus 104. But otherwise, these guys are highly juiced. You guys, Tags Thompson is minus 130 if you're willing to go that high. Let's get this freaking money today. Yeah, let's make this bread mo. It's going to be a great day out there on the ice. Great day on the football field again as well. So make sure you head on over to the SportsGrid app. Check out the Madden Quickie. Again, it's going to take you less than a minute. You get 3 of my favorite bets today out there on the football field, 2 in the NFL, as well as the college football game between SMU and Penn State. That was the one that is on there. But join Scott Wetzel and myself for the afternoon game. Texas is playing. I really do think we see Quinn Ewers on a short leash, you guys. Get yanked out of there. Arch Manning coming in. I think we got a fantastic game out there for Texas today. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money. I will see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern. We got another loaded slate. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Joe.